Do you ever wonder if the like got you mixed up from the day you were born and maybe your name's actually
Kylie? I've never wondered that.
I wonder that for you.
That's so funny.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Proclamation Podcast. My name is Luke Nolan and I'm your host. And today we are here with Analise Lucas.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
What were your thoughts when I asked you to be on the podcast?
I was so excited. I have been coming to Foursquare for years, and I was just on my first podcast probably a month ago, and so I was just super excited and
how was that
honored to be here.
experience?
It was super good. It was about salon ownership, and it was with the company that I teach for. I teach hair education for. So that was really good and fun and kind of about COVID and what happened last year.
That hasn't affected you at all, right?
Not at all. So
been a
much.
wild ride.
Yeah. But it was really good. Podcasting is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more and more the way we consume information.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know why we started the Proclamation Podcast?
I do not.
Do you have any guesses?
I would imagine to speak with your community and bring your community in along with the business, but also with the family side of things. But
yeah. I mean, we realized last year that a lot of people don't get to have the kind of conversations that we do.
Okay.
Within the coffee shop, and we were just talking to a guest earlier this morning who said they went and sat in a coffee shop and they were crying, and somebody came up and was like, "Are you okay? Can I do anything for you?" And we see a lot of things like that. Like her telling me that story, it was kind of a once in a million thing for her, but we see that all the time.
Yeah.
And so we realized that in the coffee shop, it kind of is this catalyst for people to connect and have these conversations. And I mean, we've gotten to witness you grow as a person from the person who walked in here the first time when it was the handoff window to who you are today. And so I'm really glad that you're here, and maybe we can hear some of that journey. Yeah,
I love that. It's such an honor to be here. I've been that person in the coffee shop too, having a coffee date or a Bible study or whatever, and going through things. And it's so cool to have that community here. And not a lot of shops have that. I mean, everyone who comes here like knows each other. And I love that too. It's so cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I talked to your mom on the phone yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah. She's so sweet. She texted me, "Can I call you?" Of course. Call me anytime.
Oh my gosh.
So she called me, and she wanted to know if I recommended a painter who I had used to paint the coffee shop. And I said, "Well, Annie, you just need to come down to the coffee shop, get a coffee, and just get out your magnifying glass and inspect the paint job." She laughed, and of course I gave her a more straight answer after that.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it is one of those things where like I think people trust baristas.
Yes.
And they trust, actually, another funny story. I was asked to do coffee at a hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's cool.
It was on my mind because there had recently been a mass shooting.
Yes.
Very sad. That had to do with the medical community. Somehow I was like, man, like people here are maybe on edge because that just happened. And I walked in and I had a suspicious looking setup because I had a lot of containers. I had, like a big coffee container and I had an ice chest.
Yeah.
And it just crossed my mind, like someone like me rolling in with all this stuff probably
doesn't look.
I mean, I don't have a doctor's coat on, right? And they were like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a barista. I'm here to do a coffee thing." They were like, "Oh, yeah, cool. Go."
Wow.
And I was like, "You don't want to like look inside of here or anything?"
See credentials here.
And I've noticed that a lot of places I've gone, like I've done events at the Galleria where the security's really tight. going in before they're even open to the public.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh yeah, you're the coffee guy? Come right in.
Come right
Yeah.
in. We know
Yeah,
you.
we trust you.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So hopefully no one.
We all trust our baristas. Seriously. Because they see us every day. And when they ask, how are you? They care. I'll say
do you really think that they care?
I mean, I think, but my brother works here, so he's like,
you
how
know
are
he
you?
cares? Yeah.
I think they care. I think everyone is so genuine here. And maybe not at every shop, but I do think everyone here
More
cares.
than normal in the coffee world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's like you're sharing daily experience with someone that's serving you and building relationship. And a lot of people that work here I have known for a long time as well, which is really cool too.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's hilarious.
So tell us about yourself. I mean, I asked you to be on here because I view you as a successful business owner.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your business and maybe some of the knowledge you could share with our viewers.
Yes. I am Analise, and I am a business owner. I am a wife, and I am a sister of 3 other amazing siblings. I have a really tight family. I own a business, and I actually used to do hair in this shop with Jessica Martin. I have done hair for 11 years.
So you're past
11 years.
Past that 10,000 hours mark, probably.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to calculate how many hours.
No, that's great.
I started doing hair when I was 17 and
Why
loved
did
it
you start
right
doing
away.
hair?
I had some friends that were interested in it in high school, and I was always interested in fashion designing when I was younger. And as I went through high school, I homeschooled my last 3 years of high school. Most of high school I homeschooled and was able to have a lot of
You went to public school before that?
Mhm.
Wow. That's kind of the reverse of a lot of people.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I went to public school almost my whole life in Orangeville, and then we moved to Roseville.
Did you go to Earl Leggett?
No.
No, that's in Fair Oaks.
I went to
Did you go to
Pershing
Louis
Elementary.
Pasteur?
I went to Pasteur. Yes.
Very nice.
I was like, wait, Carnegie? No, Pasteur.
Yeah.
Yes. And then CASA my freshman year, and then I homeschooled sophomore through senior, and also kind of went to Sierra College tied in with that.
Gotcha.
So, I had public school experience through freshman year, and then just felt like I wanted to be able to focus more on things that mattered in the long run. As a young person, I really invested in my faith, and I really wanted to focus in on extracurricular activities that I was interested in, and in having a really solid friend group. And I had a really good friend group at church and in youth group, and my twin and I decided together that we would like to homeschool. Literally the summer of
That's funny.
after our freshman year. So funny and so random, but we felt called to it. We felt really good about it. And so throughout the next couple years, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And my parents were very encouraging of what we desired to do. They did not push anything on us. They didn't push college on us. They encouraged us to, have education in what we wanted to do and what we were passionate about.
Yeah.
So I applied for the hair program my senior year for the ROP, and I didn't get accepted. They only took a couple people. And so the next year I just had decided I would try cosmetology school, and I had a passion for design in general. And so it wasn't like I was always doing hair when I was younger, but just design in general. And so I started.
Like what do you mean by design?
Yeah. I always liked interior design and fashion design. When I was a kid,
That's definitely played a role in your business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's really cool. I'm an artsy person. So growing up, I always navigated or was drawn toward that. And it was kind of like, I feel like I kind of fell into hair. I didn't grow up thinking I would always do hair. So it's funny to see where I am today as a salon owner, because that wasn't necessarily something I grew up really wanting to do.
Sure.
So as I got through school and then years of hair, I loved it, and I love it. And it's something I'm really passionate about now and grew passionate about. And so I decided to do cosmetology school and loved it. And I think when you're in it, you either hate it or you love it, one or the other.
Did you see a lot of people burn out?
Yes. It's like something that a lot of people choose as a side gig or as a plan B going through college.
Sure. Make some money.
Yeah. And I think also, unfortunately, cosmetologists, people in the beauty industry are like looked down on with not having had much education. And it's something that I've always not really understood because of how much education we do go through. And when you're your own business owner running your own hair business, you have to learn the ropes of every side of the business. So it's kind of looked at like that by some people. So I think that some people get burned out quickly. They don't like the client interaction, many things. It's very difficult to run your own business.
Can't be introverted.
I know. I always wonder, there are introverted hairdressers. Let me know how you like it, because DM me, because I'm so extroverted, and I cannot imagine being introverted and not being burnt out all day.
Be hard to talk to people all day.
Yeah. Very deep conversation all day. So you do have to care about that side of serving your guest.
Why do you think people open up so much when you're caring for them?
It's a great question. I think that when you're being touched or paid attention to and focused on, like individual focus, I think you're more susceptible to open up. And I think it's just always been a thing where we're joked about as therapists, and throughout all the last, 100 years, everyone has always just opened up to their hairdresser. I think you're in such close contact. You trust this person with your hair, therefore you can trust them with your information and your life. And if your hairdresser shows care and really does care about you, and I would say 99.9% of hairdressers really, really give their entire heart to their guest and really care about their guest and what you're going through, I think that's why it's easy to open up to them. Yeah. And if you can trust them with your hair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the biggest thing. Because if you don't trust someone with your hair, it's really like that's so key. And it's very, there's like hair trauma and all the things. But yeah, so
I had a friend recently who he said that his barber had moved out of state.
Yes.
And he needed a new barber. So he asked for my barber's phone number. And there was almost this hesitation of like, but if I give you my barber's phone number, like, that's like special.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And like, what if you guys don't hit it off?
Then
And,
you
know, what if you don't like the haircut or he doesn't like cutting your hair? Of course, I gave him the number. He's one of my best friends. Had to hook him up. And so he wasn't able to work out the schedule. He was in a wedding and he's like, I need a haircut tomorrow. And so he went to an unnamed massive national chain place and he got a quick haircut from a young lady, which we should talk about that too. Like, I want a guy to cut my hair because he's a guy. I don't understand
that's
the
funny.
crossover always. Not that both people can't do it, but it just seems like a lot easier. Anyways, that we could go on that for hours, but his haircut was really, really bad. And then he had to go home and try to fix it, which is always bad. So What would you say to this young gentleman friend of mine? Where did he go wrong?
It's so hard because the chains are there for a reason, for a quick haircut. And they're a good stepping stone starting point for some stylists to start at when they don't have a client base
Work it
yet.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say if you really, really care about your hair a lot as a male and you really do want a specific haircut, I would say where you're going and how much you're paying very much matters. And I would suggest not going to a chain if you really, really care about the haircut you're getting. Because if you're going to build rapport with someone, they do learn your hair over time. Sometimes it takes a couple haircuts to really get it perfect and what you want as the guest and the communication right. So, I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong, but I think that
didn't turn out so good.
Yeah. And, people are learning. Stylists are always learning and growing in their craft. So if a stylist is charging a lot more for a haircut, it's because of the years of experience and education they've received and grown in. And if it's a very low price, such as $12 or even $20, sometimes it can be that quick chain haircut, and sometimes it might not be what you want. So I would suggest paying a little more to a stylist that you can build rapport with. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And what is your reaction to people when they say a haircut's too expensive?
I have a lot to say about that.
Great.
So the cost of hair services and a haircut really does depend on a stylist's education, experience, and their overhead.
It reflects those things.
Yes, always. So the cost of a service, in my opinion, should not really be questioned, and it's similar to the cost of goods. So the cost of goods being, going to Trader Joe's and buying your
gallon
organic milk.
Yeah.
You're not questioning the cost of that because what goes into that. I mean, I guess some people are, and then you don't buy it.
You want to barter with me? Dude, I just work here.
This is too much.
Yeah.
Or gas or, anything that fluctuates, cost of goods. I truly believe services are very similar and or more costly and more goes into it because it is a service you're receiving and someone is serving you and providing you with something luxury. We are a luxury salon.
Yeah.
We call it that because you are coming to the salon for an experience, not just for a haircut.
Gotcha.
So you essentially are paying for a service in a luxury space, and in a chain, it is not necessarily, you would not call it a luxury haircut. And luxury meaning the amenities provided and the environment
the aesthetic.
And the aesthetic, yes. And the, I keep mentioning it, but the experience and education that a stylist has. So, what was the question again?
What do you have to say to people who say a haircut's too cheap or too expensive or whatever?
There's just so much that goes,
cheap.
Yeah. There's so much that goes into it. And I think if you try and understand, why a car is the cost that it is, or why milk is the cost that it is.
If you ever bought parts for your car, you would know why your car is the cost that it is.
Yes. Product and ingredients and the packaging aesthetic being that, I believe it's all the same. And so, there's differing prices depending on where you go and depending on who you see. And that's up to the guest. So if you want to pay a certain price up front, you should know what it's going to cost and what the budget is. And but if you think it's too cheap, I think you might not understand what goes into a haircut or a service.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's something that you could say to our listeners to help them understand the value that people in your industry bring to our community?
Oh, I love that. Yes. From my perspective, in my 11 years of experience and knowing all the beautiful women that I work with and their hearts, I would say heart and care is in every stylist at my salon and every salon around here. There are a lot of salons in downtown Roseville, and everyone has so much care and heart and so much care behind their actions and words and business. And I believe that we provide a listening ear and also provide the community with the confidence that they might be looking for in the service they're getting and the friendship that they might be looking for during this pandemic. If you were still getting your hair done, it was possibly the only physical touch some people were receiving. And it was possibly the only listening ear someone had. And
you've brought up physical touch twice.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
It's a really intimate thing to be a hairdresser or an esthetician or a nail artist or a tattoo artist. You're touching a human in front of you that might be a stranger. And I would say most people, hold off on physical touch, hugs, handshakes.
Sure.
Maybe not handshakes. Well, now we hold off on handshakes.
Don't even fist bump anymore.
Touch me. But we'll hold off on physical touch with a stranger because we don't know them and we don't trust them and we have, boundaries for our lives and stuff. But this new person today, I was witnessing a consultation in the salon and she did such an incredible job. And she's a brand new client coming in to consult about the appointment. And the stylist is, there asking questions, talking with her, communicating, touching her hair, might touch her shoulder. And just the physical touch immediately brings, I would say, a level of intimacy, of friendship with someone. And
building that trust we were talking about.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the most intimate jobs and close jobs. Like at the coffee shop, you're not, necessarily doing that. And
right.
And in the business world and tech world, a lot of interaction is done via email and online and even over the phone. And so we have a very physical touch job and it brings that connection and trust. Yeah. So it's really cool. It's something that I don't really think about a lot because I'm used to it. And I'm also someone that is, one of my love languages is physical touch. I would say also most hairdressers must be okay with that.
Yeah.
Just like being a little bit extra.
They need to be or they won't last.
Yeah. I mean, you're touching someone's scalp.
Yeah.
and estheticians are, giving facials. And it's just something that I think we're used to and we could do with our eyes shut. But it brings a level of trust and friendship, which is really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You said that you've been teaching.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people find that they learn a lot of things about themselves or they learn more about their craft when they have to teach it to someone else.
Yes, absolutely.
So how has that changed you? What have you learned from having to teach?
I am learning so much, and I'm really honored and humbled to be teaching. I never thought I was a good teacher. I've always been someone that likes to learn from others, and I was so honored and humbled to start teaching because I was asked to teach by this company that is really large in the hair industry and really well known.
That's awesome.
And they're wonderful. And also in my business, teaching every day about just little things that we'll discuss or formulations or whatever. And so I think I have been teaching I know I have been teaching since I started and opened the salon in 2018, but being able to teach for a company has been humbling. I have learned a lot about myself, about my craft, about the things that I like, the services I like in our industry. I have learned things about my personality and really had to hone in on developing new skills and new avenues of business ownership, of techniques, hair techniques. And the biggest thing that I am currently learning more about and have since I started teaching for the company I teach for is Salt Society, Salt Hair in Connecticut. And they're a hair salon and they're also a salon education company. They teach
Gotcha.
all realms of being a business owner in the hair industry.
Okay. Not just like a beauty college that teaches people how to cut.
Yes. It is very intricate, customized, unique content from this company that grew very quickly and that is very legitimate and that our hair industry really loves. And
that's awesome.
The owner of this company is named Jamie C. And she has just created this whole realm of hair education that is very unique and no one else is really teaching. And so I'm teaching under her and her content that she's created. So she has blown me out of the water with what she teaches in the realm of self-love and self-care about ourselves as a hairstylist before you can teach a hair technique. And yourself as a business owner, you need to love yourself first and you need to care about yourself first to be able to care about your own company and your guest. And all of that goes into our daily actions as a hairdresser. And so I've learned so much about that and about success not being about money and success not being about fame or clout, and success really is about relationships and about loving yourself and starting there. And I've been able to learn about that. No one really ever took me under their wing to teach me much in that realm as a business owner, I guess. I definitely figured everything out on my own starting at 17.
So let me ask you something about that. So say a young man or woman grows up and they don't have a mother or father figure. And when they're older, I think we've all had this experience in some way. Somebody takes us under their wing. And for the first time, we maybe experience pure fatherly or motherly affection or guidance the way that we should have had it when we were a kid. And that brings up a ton of emotions in those people.
Yes.
And that's happened for me too in different ways in my life. And so now being taken under somebody's wing, what is that bringing up in you? And how are you seeing things from the past and how it could have been different if someone had taken you under their wing earlier? So
sweet. I relate to that so much. It feels good. It feels like you're cared about. It feels like someone's success, they want you to have the success they've had and they want you to have the love that they've had.
That's wicked rad.
So good.
I love that.
And I've had it in church settings and I have amazing parents that I've had, but in my career, it definitely lacked, and it has made me want to be that to my girls and to my team and my team at Lucas & Co. It has caused me to be a better leader and to really be there for every individual on my team and to be a listening ear and to be someone that has wings to take someone under and to be in that position where I am able and have the capacity to care for these women in my business. And they're renters, so they're running their own business. But I want to be that to them. And so I've learned a lot through the last few years of owning the business and teaching for Jamie of how she does that and how I can do that better every day. But how someone can feel loved in the exact moment or situation they're in. And that even in uncertainty or fear or not necessarily having every answer about their business or their life, that they have someone to look to and really just have a listening ear, not a boss, not someone who's over them, not someone that it has all the answers. I don't even have all the answers, but just someone that's there and they can, look to when they need to. So it means a lot to me to be that to someone. My whole heart is for people and I love people so much, and my whole heart is to be there for people. And also having had that recently has meant a lot to me because it can be lonely sometimes when you don't have someone to look to and when you have to do things on your own. So it's been really, really good.
You love people.
Yes.
What do you do when people reject that love? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's probably the hardest thing for me ever. I have to know that people need different things, and I have to remind myself that if that does happen, that it's okay. I tell myself it's okay, and that they might need something different and that I might need something different. And that I just read a quote today, and it was just talking about if a door is closed on a relationship in that kind of way, that it's okay to move on and it's okay to accept that both parties needed something different, and that if one person is not fighting for the relationship or rejecting your love or rejecting you as a person, then it's okay to fight for yourself sometimes. And that can look like walking away or having conversations or whatever about it, brave communication. But it's really hard for me, and it's something that I still am figuring out. Think I'm a type 7 Enneagram, and so with that I've learned about myself that relationships are really truly the most important to me. And instead of being someone that has walls up until you show trust, I have trust until you show no trust or distrust. Yeah. And then I don't know what to do, or then I have a wall up. So I'm like the opposite. My husband and I were just talking about that. We're opposite in that way. And I'm just learning that it is something that I think is a gift that I have to love people, but it's also really difficult. So just learning that sometimes people need different things.
Very true.
Yeah.
Mentioned your husband.
Yes.
You opened a business.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard to open a business.
Yes.
Keep it going. So
yes.
How has that relationship helped? How has he come alongside you in that?
Such a good question. We got married right before we opened the salon. And
Did he know that you were opening the salon?
He did.
Okay, good.
We got married in October of 2017, and we opened in July of 2018 and started kind of talks about the business in February. So he was all involved, all for it. He's also a sole proprietor. He's a musician, and he was a music teacher. So he's run his own business for a while too. Yeah. So all for it. We had no idea what we were getting into. I think every business owner should be able to relate to that. You can only learn to an extent what you're going to be doing beforehand. Yep. And I couldn't have done it without him. I really couldn't have. I am so grateful for his friendship through it. We walked through a lot of seasons that were very difficult. And sometimes I feel like it's unfair to our marriage that we have had such a busy life from owning a business right away, which I can imagine you would relate to.
Totally relate, yep.
And not that I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, because it is what it is, and I'm very grateful for everything that we have and have done and that God has done. But I think you need a supportive partner, and he has been that every step of the way. He is very calm and steady, and I am a go-getter and entrepreneur, so we balance each other out. I need that.
He slows you down sometimes?
Yes.
That's good.
He's a voice of reason sometimes. We don't need 6 salons. I would never, but he's just the voice of reason. And
yeah,
he's really helped in every step of the process. I always joke that like he gave me his life savings to open the salon, and he was a part of it in every way.
Yeah.
Even though he's not there every day, and supporting me behind the scenes and supporting the team behind the scenes. So, it's been hard. It's been hard in like a new marriage, but I wouldn't do it any other way. And I think it helped us grow really strong throughout time, and we're stronger than ever. And we're almost 4 years and ready for kind of life to slow down a little. So we're hoping to simplify life in this next year because of how difficult last year was. But yeah, obviously I can ramble on for a while.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to talk about that because I know that I never would have opened a business without my wife's encouragement and support. And it was definitely too much of a burden to carry alone, especially during the time that we were closed. So
yes,
I can relate to a lot of the things that you said. How did you guys come up with the name?
Lucas is his last name, and I wanted to have a name that didn't have anything to do with hair, because we had an idea. We didn't know what our business would become at all, and how large it would become, and how much it would grow so fast. But we wanted it to be kind of a header and overarching term rather than like a hair name, so that we could use it for other things if we decided to have the business have any other facets and sides.
Gotcha.
So the salon is all about my team and my company and co. And so I really, I just liked the name. I thought it was catchy, Lucas and Co. And it's like, us and our team and everyone there. And something simple enough and catchy enough too. And once we opened, it was just so catchy. It's like easy to put on merch, and it's easy to put on.
You're representing today.
Yes.
Perfect.
Wearing my sweatshirt today.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like, Foursquare is the same. It's catchy. There's a story behind it.
Everything down here is catchy.
It is. Has to be. People remember it. Yeah.
So speaking of Foursquare, how has Foursquare impacted your life?
Oh, so much.
Really?
Yeah, really.
That's awesome.
I'm not joking. So much. The relationships built in this building, the relationship with you has impacted me, watching you grow in your business.
That's awesome.
It makes me feel, I really truly kind of feel like this camaraderie sometimes, where I'm not alone in growth, and we've
bounced ideas off each other.
Yeah. And just like seeing a person of faith open a business and have it grow quickly as well as you did.
What does that mean, a person of faith?
You are a man of faith, and you believe in God and we have similar morals and values. And
how do you know that?
Because we've talked about it. Talked about it and how I see your life.
The reason I'm pushing you is because I've learned that a lot of people say things or they hear words and they don't really know what they mean.
Yeah, that's great.
And so say 1 billion people watch this at some point.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. It's cool to know another business owner who has similar values to you. So in my opinion, that means that, my values.
Because you're saying that there is an opposite, that there's people who don't have similar values to us who run businesses successfully.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like knowing there are other people who have opened a business with the values that I have, which I can go into, is, I guess, just makes me feel like camaraderie and community and family, because the values that my business is founded on are my moral and Christian and godly values, and things that I value about people are a part of my faith and about my my upbringing, and I just appreciate that Foursquare was founded on such great values as well, being community and loving people and essentially like growing in community and having a family atmosphere, I would say, is unique and is not in every business. And
For sure.
That's a part of like my values and a part of your values, as I've seen and how you live your life and such. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, it was an encouragement for me when we made the decision to be closed on Sundays. I could look at ChickfilA and say, well, that's a much more successful company that made the same decision and they survived.
Yes.
They didn't, go out of business just because they were closed one day a week.
Such a good example.
And every Sunday I want ChickfilA, and gosh darn it, they're closed.
Every time.
And I know that happens to people a lot here. So sometimes I feel bad and I want to open on Sundays. And most Sundays I'm glad that I don't have anything to worry about in the business.
Wow. I think like 2 Sundays ago, I was wondering that about what you just said, and about if you guys still were closed Sundays, and if that is something that you ever struggle with, because I think it's awesome that you and your team get a break one day a week. I personally have struggled with that. I don't have like a day in the week that nothing is going on at the salon ever. I tried it, but I really like to have the space that is available for my renters at any time because of they're running their business. And so I was thinking about that. I think because I was going to come here on a Sunday, and I was like, oh no, that's right. And I immediately feel like that's awesome rather than it being a negative.
Yeah.
And like, you have a break, your team has a break. Your team knows they don't have to work on a Sunday. They get a day off always.
And I think that there's a lot of areas of life where we need to apply that principle of having rest.
Yes.
Whether you're a Christian or not.
Yes.
That if you don't have dedicated time to set aside, that you're going to get burnt out.
Yes.
I know, have you ever read Animal Farm?
No.
So George Orwell, who wrote 1984, wrote a lesser known book called Animal Farm. And it's basically about communism or socialism and how that would play out on a farm of animals.
Wow.
And one of the things that they do in the book that has happened in actual countries that became socialist or communist is they tried a different work week. So they would do like 10 days of work and then like 4 days off instead of 5 and 2 or 6 and 1 or whatever. It didn't work in real life or in the book.
That's wild.
Because people just aren't designed that way.
Yeah, too burnt out.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is something, I've recognized in my faith is that, whether people agree with my faith or not, that it is very much, it reveals how people were designed and the way in which they will live that will bring them the most peace.
Yes.
And so if you try it a different way, if you try working 30 days straight, you will soon discover that you were not designed that way. Whether you believe you were designed by God or by aliens or by evolution, that you cannot possibly do that forever. Yeah. So I think it brings people a lot of peace when they pick a hill and they stand on it and they don't veer from it just because of peer pressure. I was discussing numbers with another coffee shop owner and looking at what they're doing, and they have a much better location than us in that it's a much busier area, like organically a lot more people around and stuff, and more like on the path of travel. We're kind of out of the way.
Yeah.
And I looked at their numbers and immediately I was like, wow, they did a lot higher sales than us. And I suddenly realized, well, they're open 7 days a week.
There it is.
And then I did the math. I averaged out, okay, if we were open on Sundays and we did our average, and our sales were much higher than theirs if we were open.
If you're open Sundays?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so,
well, and then your wages go up.
Yeah. So all of your costs go up and everything, but they're not at peace and they're having a really hard time and they were hammered by COVID, and so we have not experienced that. Yeah. We have experienced discomfort. We have experienced, trying to like ride the wave of madness, but we definitely have not experienced a removal of our peace just because of what's happening. Like we've remained a rock for people.
So
and
good.
That has been really amazing.
So good. I agree. I have never seen so many people in here in the safest way possible. You guys were doing everything right and everything you could. But while you were able to be open, it was so busy. And I think that is all testament to your business, you as an owner, and the space and atmosphere that is provided here for the community to be able to
people always felt like this was a place they
Safe
could
space.
come.
Yes.
When COVID first was coming, into all of our minds and affecting all of our actions, and we weren't sure how it was spreading, right? Remember when they thought every surface was
wiping every grocery
going to kill you. We didn't know that it was mostly spreading through people breathing on each other. And at that time, like, I was like, guys, stop coming in. There's too many people in here, you know?
Yes.
And I was so worried about trying to get people out.
Yes.
And like you said, it was just, there were so many people. And they didn't want to leave, even though there were no seats. They would kind of stand around.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning, we had to tell people, like, hey, you got to get your drink. You got to go, because we didn't know at the time. Like, is everyone dying? Like, right here? Totally. Are they all killing each other? And we don't even know it. Turns out it wasn't as bad as we thought.
Yeah.
People may have been spreading the virus, but most people who were coming here by that time were young enough that even if they got sick, they would survive. So
yes.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild the last year, huh?
Yes. It's so cool to have had a safe space. A lot of our clients were feeling the same, and there was a handful of people that were not comfortable coming in, and absolutely respect that. And, but I would say most clients were, happy to come in and have their me time and be served and really just feel better about something they can control, because we were so out of control. Everything was so out of control last year, and something they could control being their root color or their monthly facial when we were allowed to be open. It was something that people like desired and were still coming in, and we were similar. Like, we didn't know what to do. Like, should we close? Should we not? Like, how bad is this? And so similar, but it was a wild ride. Still wild.
Yeah, it is still
Still
wild.
going.
Have there been things that you realized, like maybe there were things that you thought were essential in your life and they kind of went away, and now you're
Yes.
like, I never really needed that, or I really needed that thing.
I automatically say yes, and then I'm like, what is an example? Yeah, I mean, this is a touchy subject, but finances. We were hit so hard financially. It was not easy to just get some PPP,
Yeah.
and we did get a little bit of help, but compared to a lot of other larger businesses, it was different. Finances, of course, we need them to survive, but even hit so hard financially, we just can't. We realize that we don't need excess, and we don't need excess things. We don't
Sure.
need excess money. We survived. We also trusted that we would be provided for, and our trust in God and in knowing that we would not be tossed by the wind with what was going on with COVID. Even in the most difficult financial time, we were fine and survived. And, partially because of, flexibility from my house landlord or things like that.
Sure.
But still,
Little things.
excess things, excess money. I mean, going out to eat too, like I started cooking so much more.
Did you make any sourdough?
Everyone.
Everybody did that.
I actually did not.
Neither did I.
Did not. I wish. My friend, Jen Kent, has a sourdough starter, and every time we go over, I'm like, I need sourdough starter, and I always forget. But I did not. I made a lot of homemade pizza
Okay.
and my friend turned me on to this meal. This might sound gross to some people. Brown rice, cast iron fried chicken, not fried, but just cast iron cooked chicken.
Sure.
With the veganless chicken seasoning from Trader Joe's. Vegan chickenless seasoning, something like that.
Okay.
And so brown rice, chicken, bacon, Brussels sprouts, ranch, and sriracha.
Oh.
So good. Made that so much.
Might have to get that recipe after really the show. Put that down on our list.
Thank you to Ariel Mize.
Is that who gave you the recipe?
Yeah.
Okay.
She made it for us once and had to make it all the time. I feel like life just was so different, and we just realized we didn't need, I guess I would say, excess in every way. And we need each other. We need each other.
Yeah.
We need people. We need love instead of hate. And we need acceptance and love no matter the circumstance. And the first couple weeks were so difficult. I was just sitting on the couch every day waiting for new news about if we can open the salon or not.
Sure.
And
stressful.
It was so stressed. I've never been more stressed in my life. And
you needed a massage or a facial or something. Someone take care of me, please.
Self-care, please. Yeah. So as time went on, it just became more apparent that relationships are what matters. And
so let me ask you this. Why do you think millennials struggle with deep, meaningful relationships?
Oh.
Because I think we do.
I think we do. Yeah.
More than others generations.
Gosh, that's such a deep, I think there could be so many reasons.
Obviously a lot depends on the person, but a generalization.
Yeah. I think that our upbringing in general as a millennial was very different from our parents as Xers, right? Yeah, whatever the term is.
I don't know.
Someone listening right now is like, yeah, it's
Duh.
that. And I've noticed with a lot of millennials, and this is just a thought, I'm not sure, but that someone will be like really quick to be hurt and offended and then just be done with the relationship. Or
that doesn't work very well in a marriage.
no, have trouble communicating about the issue.
Yeah.
And in a marriage, you can't,
or a business partnership.
Yeah, totally.
Any long-lasting relationship.
You have to communicate about hard stuff. So that's a thought about that. I don't know. I have always struggled with like everyone's my friend, and I have always given everything to relationships. So I struggle to understand sometimes why it is difficult for millennials. But from what I've seen and experienced just a little bit, I think upbringing has a lot to do with it, and possibly learning to communicate through hard stuff and communication. What do you think?
Yeah.
You agree? Disagree? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are scared.
Yeah.
They're just scared to let anybody know what's going on because they're going to judge me, or they want their life to look like what they post.
Yeah.
Not
a lot of judgment.
What they are. I really appreciate kind of the newer trend of like, here's the picture I want you to see of my kid or my husband and I. And then here's what it looked like us trying to get the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I do too.
I've noticed that with a lot of my kids who have my friends who have kids now, is that they'll post like this cute picture of their kid and they're like, this is them screaming 3 seconds earlier.
Yes.
Because I think we need to be reminded of that, of like, yeah, there's a cute photo, but it took a little bit of struggle to get that. And I think a lot of us are just scared of commitment.
Yeah.
Just scared of like, we saw our parents work 40 years somewhere or 20 or 30 or whatever years at a job, and they seem angry, or they abuse themselves or substances, or they abuse their family. And so we think, gosh, if I get stuck in something for 20 or 30 years, I'm going to be just like that.
Yep.
And so I'm not going to get myself stuck in a marriage or a business or a job or a friendship or a hobby that I can't get out of really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard if your life is like wheatgrass, just and you don't have any roots.
Yeah, so good.
That are like really deep and really strong. And then when the wind comes and the rain comes and COVID comes and the election comes and George Floyd gets killed and all these things happen that are out of your control, suddenly you're like, I don't know how to respond. Yeah. And so everyone is just reacting because they have no roots to hold them down. They aren't able to look back at their life and say, yeah, I've seen that and I already know what my view on it is. Yeah. And so they're kind of carried by the wave of like, Trump is the best. And you're like, well, how many presidents have you really looked at, you know? Because there were a lot of them. Or they're like, he's the devil. And you're like, well, there's been a lot worse leaders in human history. Do you know anything about them?
Yeah.
And so just like not really having context, because I think people are switching gears way too much.
Yeah.
And so they don't gain any traction.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a bicycling analogy for you.
It's so true. It's so good. And that's a lot of what happened this last year, and any control you can gain is good, or felt good.
Felt good.
And so, that was something, a lot of reaction and a lot of judgment toward people. And I mean, I've never seen so much in my years of life, so much judgment and reaction just toward people and relationships and family members, and just all the stuff that we saw, how people were being treated or whatever. And I think that has a lot to do with that. I think commitment is really scary for most people. I don't think it's necessarily in us when we're born, but I think we learn that and being burned by certain things and watching parents be stuck in situations or family members. Yeah, absolutely. And commitment is scary, but I mean, I think it's innately in us when we're born because we're, in my view and in my faith, we're created by God, and he is so committed to us, and we are created for commitment and created for relationship, and he's committed to us no matter what we do. And so I think innately it makes sense to me that we would be created for commitment toward people and in marriage and relationship, but being burned by things and situations affects that. And I think we have to be on guard to cultivate what that looks like in a healthy way, us committing to things in life and people, and learning what that might look like for you in a healthy way. Yeah.
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 Who's your closest friend?
My twin sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I mean, is that a trick question?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's an honest question.
Jesus?
Jesus is my friend.
My closest friend in life, besides my husband, would be my twin sister, Kylie. Yeah. We've been attached to the hip. Not literally. But
there wasn't a surgery upon birth.
No. We were in different
You guys are very different, though.
Yes, very different. Very different. We're fraternal, 19 minutes apart naturally, which was crazy. She is...
You guys are the oldest, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's us and then 2 other siblings. We are. So it was really cool growing up with a twin and always having someone there.
Always had a buddy.
Yeah.
Did your mom dress you up in the same outfits?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Sometimes different colors, sometimes the same exact color, but like always the same outfit.
Do you ever wonder, and I know you said you're not identical, but still, it's got to be hard. Do you ever wonder if they got you mixed up from the day you were born and maybe your name's actually
Kylie? I've never wondered that.
I wonder that for you.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That would be very
That's a great fear of mine that if I was a twin, that I wouldn't be the twin that they think I am.
Just with your name. I mean, I think I came out 19 minutes before her. So
you're the
baby
oldest.
A. Yeah. And however they named us, they just chose our names before, I think, but you could totally switch. And at birth, I don't think we looked as different as we do now.
Yeah.
So
totally. I mean, once you start talking and stuff, there's no way it's going to happen, but
yeah, I know.
Man, that would be stressful.
Twins?
I could barely keep track of one.
Yeah.
What if there were 2 of them?
I don't know how they do it. I would love twins, but we'll see about that.
It's supposed to skip you, right? Go to the next.
We have so many in the family.
Oh,
I always
Keith
wonder.
Told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keith likes you a lot.
Keith and I like each other a lot. Yeah.
He loves coming here. Yeah, we have a lot in the family. So, I mean, his mom is a twin too. I think it can come from both sides. There's the wives' tales and the myths about twins and stuff. I just never know what's actually true because some twins have twins, and sometimes it skips. So, I would like to know the factual information about that.
Do you want to have kids?
Yes.
Cool.
We do.
Nice.
We are hoping for a simplified year and a better year, but I do believe there's never a perfect time.
Yeah. Just like getting married.
Yep.
You're never going to be fully ready.
For anything in life. Yeah. So, yes.
So what's your advice to people who are hesitating in a decision that they are toying with? Maybe they're thinking about moving to San Diego.
Yeah.
And they're like, should I go now or should I go later? No, this is no one in particular.
No one in particular.
Yeah.
This is not me.
No.
Tap, tap. I
No,
promise.
It's the guy on the other side of the camera.
I know a lot of people toying
Poor guy.
with moving. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like maybe you're thinking about a big decision.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, they have obstacles that are real or perceived. So what would your encouragement to them be?
I would say go with your gut and go with open doors. That's what I have learned. I think open doors are a huge way of knowing if something could work. I think there's closed doors a lot of the time if it's not supposed to be. And I think with the whole term meant to be, sometimes we can make things happen, but I think we can feel that tension of like trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
So I always say just go with the open doors. I talk to a lot of people who are wanting to open salons and who are really, scared of taking that jump. It's huge. But I think there's a certain amount of preparation you should have for a decision like that, or a big decision in your life. But I also think there's nothing wrong with having that decision changed later on. I don't think we need to be so afraid of taking back something we've done, like a move or opening a business. A lot of people had no idea that their businesses would have to close this last year, and they shouldn't feel like it's a failure at all because it's a circumstance of something out of their control. So I say go for it always. I'm all about jumping if you're prepared physically and emotionally, but I think there's a balance to that too. It's very objective.
Might not be
or
ever emotionally ready.
Yeah. I think for decisions like that, emotionally ready looks like, peace. You have peace about it. You have clarity. You're not like really clouded about it. You don't have like one side of you really thinking it's not a good idea. Like you just have overall peace and
no internal conflict.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you when you say go with your gut?
I think we all have a gut and an internal compass for knowing if something is right or wrong. Not necessarily morally, but something in front of us. And as we get older, we learn maybe what that looks like. If we do listen to our gut well, if we don't, if I've not listened to it before and have listened to it before. And even if there's crappy circumstances that come from listening to your gut, if you listen to your gut, you acted on something you were confident in your inner compass, inner thoughts and feelings, then it was right. And you don't have to question that, even if there's crappy circumstances. But I think we all have an internal knowing of if things are right. And in the unknown of taking a risk, sometimes the gut might not be 100% clear, but at least you have that.
Yeah.
Like you said, no internal struggle, like internal peace. Yeah.
I had a really great boss. He was a great boss for me. Maybe not for everybody, but for me, he was an amazing boss. And
nice.
He would say a lot, go with your gut.
Yeah.
And he would always ask me, what's your gut feeling? And then he would never let me go against that decision.
Wow.
Because he's like, dude, I trust your gut. And you need to trust your gut. So he taught me to do that. I've gone against my gut many times, and it's gone very poorly because I'm usually more concerned about going with what's best for other people or what will make them feel special or some other bullcrap excuse. And then I'm like, oh, that was really stupid.
Yes.
Didn't go with my gut. My wife's really good at going with her gut.
Oh, she is. I could see that.
And she can pick out the bad ones immediately. And so it's really a good balance for me, like you and Steven. It's like, you shouldn't hire this person. Yeah. She has a great gut.
You'll be glad you listened.
Yeah.
I should probably listen to my husband more, but yeah. We need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even in our gut, if we hear something or feel something, if we're thinking about other people and someone being happy and making others happy, sometimes that goes against the gut.
Yeah.
I do that. I have done that many times. And sometimes it's not the right thing. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about today?
Oh. I don't think so.
Then I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
You can change your mind, by the way. But my last question for you is, how do you want to see yourself improve?
I love that. I am currently ready to improve on how I view myself and taking care of my personal life. As the personality I am, I think some people can relate to this. I have put too much stock into what others think, feel, need, and not held myself to the same care as I do other people. And I'm ready to take care of myself and my family just like I would encourage someone else to do. And I think I will improve as a human if I'm there and in that headspace to be able to love people even better. And I want to improve in taking in life slower. I am very fast paced and very about the next thing, and I think I miss things sometimes because of that. Maybe relationships or caring about or just missing things. And I even going to other states, it's so funny. I've been traveling a little bit for teaching and for other things, and I just noticed that some people like live way slower than we do kind of in California.
So fast.
It's crazy. And I think I've just become this really fast-paced person the last few years, and it's because I have so much to manage that I always have a list and it never ends, and so I have to get it done. So there's always a list. But I have noticed that I've missed things, and I would like to improve in taking things slower, so that I can be more present with people and family. I feel like I've missed out on family for the sake of making sure a list gets done or my business is perfect and okay. And I mean I have a list of things I would like to improve. I always feel like there's so much to improve. But then sometimes I can get caught in the perfectionist circle of.
Sure. But how encouraging is it to know that you're already not failing and you have room for improvement?
Yes, it's so good.
And I think a lot of people feel like they're stuck and they're failing and they're stuck.
Yeah.
They're failing and they feel like they're doing the best that they possibly can. So if you're not dying, you're food on the table.
Yeah.
You're not going millions of dollars in debt.
Yeah.
I mean, I've counseled other business owners who are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, or just talk to them, and it's like, wow, you got a ways to climb, and at least they know where they're at, because some people are climbing a mountain and there's a huge fog and they can't even see the top of the mountain. At least these people know, hey, I got to get to there before I'm going to be debt free. But but there's just so many people who feel like they're doing the best that they possibly can in their situation, and yet they're still floundering.
Climbing so much,
yeah. And so I think that a lot of people would hear your initial statement about wanting to focus on self-care or understanding yourself better or loving yourself better, and they would immediately think, well, that's selfish or that's arrogant, or to think that you're in a place that you're allowed to do that. And my dad and I were discussing a lot of stuff that's happened this year.
Yeah.
And he was telling me a story about somebody who had worked really hard their whole life in a low level, what most people would consider a low level position, and they were able to purchase a new vehicle, and somebody pushed them down verbally because they felt like you shouldn't be able to do that. And it shows that the person who said that felt small inside, that they needed to tell that person to stay in their place. And it just shows that we often don't want other people to get to a place of caring for themselves because we don't feel like we have time to care for ourselves. And I hope that people hear this and realize that this is the best example of this. We've all, those of us who've flown on a plane, we've all heard the speech that if the mask comes down and the oxygen masks come down and the cabin is losing pressure, you do not take care of the child first. You put your mask on first. Then you can, because if you go down, you can't help that kid, and you're both gonna perish. And people often, when they're in an immature view, they think, why aren't you putting my mask on first? And they don't realize that people who are called to lead, even if it's a small group of people or a medium-sized group of people or an entire nation of people, they have to take care of themselves first. I think it's always really petty when we attack presidents for taking a vacation or whatever, because it's like, they're one of the hardest working people in the world. And they're literally the most powerful person in the world. And so if they don't know to take a break and to spend time with their family or to do something recreational, they're not going to be able to help us well. And it's not a place of arrogance. It's a place of maturity and a place of loving other people better, because you know that you're going to do a lot better with those 6 days of the week if you take that 1 day of the week for yourself.
So good. We have to. So key for not being in a survival mode. And I love all of that. It's exactly how I feel. It's so good.
Get out of survival mode.
Anyone struggling with that this last year, that word's for you. Just take care of yourself, and it's okay to put yourself first. I think my whole life I was taught, put others first, and it's just innate, but I think we need to really take care of ourselves when we're knowing that you're feeling lack or burnout or need. So good.
To love your neighbor as yourself, you have to be taking care of yourself in a way that you would want your neighbor to be taken care of.
100%. 100.
This has been episode 100 of the Proclamation Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nolan. We're here with Analise Lucas, and we thank you for being here and giving of your time to us.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.